Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. Good morning, and I want to say happy Mother's Day out there. Coming up on today's show, we're going to get into the biggest winners and losers from Raiders rookie minicamp, and you're going to be a big-time loser if you don't say happy Mother's Day. So before I get into this show, shout out to Alex. She's a great dog mom. My mom, my grandmother, a lot of my aunts out there. Happy Mother's Day, and make sure if you guys really could, show some love down there to somebody. Give them a love. Give them a shout out. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. All right, so the way that I want to do this, usually when I do winners and losers, I start with the winners. However, today's all about the moms, and anytime I ever ask Alex, I'm like, hey, I got some good news and I got some bad news. Which one do you want first? She's always like, hit me with the bad news first. So we're going to start with the losers here. And a lot of times when you talk about Raiders rookie minicamp, and most minicamps out there, you don't really get a lot of information of which guys did bad. It's more of like, this is the hype season, right? Like best shape of season, and that's a lot of the news and notes that I got. For those that don't know, 32 players were invited to Raiders rookie Raiders rookie minicamp, and you had the 25 rookies, so the 17 UDFAs, the 8 players that the Silver and Black drafted, and then on top of that, they invited 6 extra guys, second-year players, and realistically, like, to me, those are the guys that are the losers here from this video. So, David Agoha, he's the International Pathway Program player. He was invited, but that's expected, and he's going to make the roster because he doesn't count against the Raiders, official 53-man, so you can keep him. I'm just going to throw these other 5 guys in. Jaydon Grant, safety. Tyreik McAllister, running back. Jalen McKenzie, offensive tackle. John Samuel Shenker at tight end, and then Charles Snowden at defensive end. Those are your losers, and the only reason why that I say that is not because I got notes on how they practice, on anything besides that. There's a reason why they were invited, and I would imagine that they're the bottom of the roster players. So if the Silver and Black, Telesco, AP, if they go out and they decide to sign a big-time free agent or any kind of free agent, I would imagine that those are going to be the 5 players that this organization decides to move on from. Coming up next here on the show, we're going to get into the minicamp winners. This is where I have a lot more of the notes and probably the reason why y'all decided to click on this video. If you haven't already, though, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn on those notifications. I know that I'm not at the studio, but the video that I was going to put out today, it was around Yannick Ngakoue and Bud Dupree, but Bud Dupree ended up signing with the Chargers. F them, right? So I decided, all right, I'm going to make a video anyway here for Mother's Day, and I was really wishing I'd be able to hang out with my mom and some of my family back home, but luckily, Alex, if you hear anything, she's making scrambled eggs and some bacon, and it's going to be a great morning, I can tell you that right now. But seriously, hit that subscribe button. We got that commitment to excellence, doing our best here to keep you guys up to date around the Silver and Black. All right, the biggest winner for me personally, and it's already, the hype has begun, is around Brock Bowers. And he's fast, he's an incredible player. I mean, you even heard him speak to the media. He checks almost every single box out. I also am happy that Antonio Pierce has put this whole coin flip story to bed. I mean, it was always going to be Bowers. It was the pick that they wanted. He was very high up on their board, and you can already see the hype is growing about how they're going to use him. They're going to use him as a slot. They're going to line him up at H-back. Essentially, they feel that they have one of the best weapons from the 2024 NFL draft, and they have him on their team. They got him at 13, and I'm really curious to see what Luke Getsy does. The 12 personnel, you heard AP kind of talk about how difficult that is to defend, and the Raiders are going to be a team that, yeah, they might not have elite quarterback play at all, but they're going to have a QB that hopefully can take care of the football. They're going to be able to rely on Devontae, Jacoby, Brock, Michael Mayer, and doing this 12 personnel, they're going to really try to confuse a lot of people. So Getsy, you got some talented players, but I'm excited to see what the offense looks like. Let's go to another winner here on the offensive line, and this is just like my spirit animal. JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson, the interior offensive lineman from Oregon, was drafted at number 44 overall. Another player that we had a round 1 grade on, slid down a little bit further, maybe because of some of the injury concerns, but you've heard him kind of go out there and address it. He's playing left guard, which is where he was getting work, which is, what I kind of expected the Raiders to put him at. I mean, at the end of the day, I think they are confident that he's going to be an interior offensive lineman for this team for a long time. Maybe my favorite quote from the entire weekend was like, JPJ said, if you play for the name on the front, it's going to bless the name on the back. And I think that that's the type of mentality that you need to have, especially as a rookie. And whether you're playing football, I don't care what you do in life, I think if you have that mentality of, you know what, if I pull up to work every day and I show Chat Sports some love, it's going to bless the Renz name on the back. So I think no matter what you guys do in life, live by that motto, and I think JPJ is a stud. And dude was going out there hitting people. I don't know if you saw the clip of him hitting the coach for the Raiders that was like blocking him. I guess I shouldn't say hit, but basically plowed a coach over and offered him dinner. I think he's a really, really awesome human being. You can see that he's a leader already, and he's a very powerful player. So a lot of fun. Gives me that old school Raiders mentality. I also love that he's rooming with DJ Glaze, or DJ, that's his nickname, DJ, but Delmar Glaze is him who was drafted in the 3rd round out of Maryland. Those two guys are rooming together, and the fact that they're rooming together, I like him a lot. I got some good notes on Delmar, but realistically, I didn't get too much information. I've reached out to him. Maybe I can get a little bit more this upcoming week. Let's go to another player that I heard a lot of good stuff about, and it's Tommy Eichenberg, the linebacker out of Ohio State, who we drafted in the 5th round at 148. Eichenberg was the only linebacker, and, well, the only rookie linebacker. They also invited a linebacker from UNLV. His name right now is escaping me, but, like, he had a lot of opportunities to work one-on-one with some coaches, which I thought was a pretty good thing. You also heard AP hype him up, saying, like, could be a player that potentially gets the green dot in the future. But, like, very smart player. And rookie minicamp a lot of times is not, you're not always going to be able to see athletic ability, you know, what are they doing in drills and stuff. But it's also up here. And I actually had somebody tell me that Eichenberg is already showing that he is a very smart and intelligent player, and if he can put it together on the field, I think that could be one of my favorite picks from this upcoming year. Dylan Laube, the running back from New Hampshire, he was the only running back at rookie minicamp, so that gives him the opportunity to work one-on-one with Carnell Cadillac Williams, the Raiders running back coach, and that's somebody that you got to keep an eye on. Telesco was able to find somebody like Austin Eckler at UDFA, turn him into one of the best pass-catching, running backs in the NFL, a guy that had over 1,000 receiving yards not too long ago. And I think when you look at the Raiders, them not giving a lot of money to Amir Abdullah, plus you got Alexander Madison, Zamir White, they're more the bull rushers between the tackle guys. And Laube, yeah, he's from a small school, FCS, but he did have over 700 receiving yards, gives you some of that ability in special teams. And if you're the silver and black and you're really, really confident in that young man, maybe you decide to keep him and send Amir Abdullah a packing. Let's go to the last name here that I have from the rookies that we ended up drafting, Trey Taylor, the safety out of Air Force. Another guy that I heard, you can already tell that he should not have been drafted in the 7th round. Somebody that they're excited to see what he can contribute on special teams, but also he's going to push Chris Smith, and I'm not saying that Chris Smith isn't going to get his opportunity. I'm also saying Trey Taylor, he's going to push Isaiah Polameo because you got Marcus Epps, you got Trevon Merrick. Those are your top 2 safeties. But then after that, there's going to be a legit competition between who's that 3rd guy, because I would say right now it's between Taylor, Isaiah Polameo, and Chris Smith. Like, I think legitimately all 3 of those guys have the opportunity to go out and get that third safety role behind Epps, behind Merrick, in case one of those guys does go down. Coming up next year then, I also have some UDFA winners. I have 3 players that I was given some notes on that just stood out a little bit. And again, when you do what I do, you have certain people in the building that you trust, that you talk to, and maybe they were just watching certain guys. So I'm being very honest. The coverage around the coverage around rookie minicamp, it's not a lot. The media was only allowed to be there May 10th. May 11th, they were not allowed to be there, so I've had to reach out to a few other people, and I just got notes on these next 3 guys. What I want to know down below is, like, which rookie just fires you up the most already? Because I do think it's about setting that mindset, and you can already tell what AP and Telesco tried to do. They tried to find players that love football, and I do think when you get to this level, you need those type of guys because everybody's fast, everybody's athletic, everybody probably was the best player that they've ever been around growing up. But now you're at that point where it's like, all right, where do you get those difference makers and the people that just, yeah, you got to like football, but then you got a guy like Max Crosby where he eats, breathes it, and you turn into a totally different type of human being. The player that fires me up the most right now is Jackson Powers Johnson. I just think he is just reeks of what a old school Raider is, and the fact that we're going to be able to bring him to this offensive line. And then also on top of that, like, I'm not even kidding you, I know Bowers is a first-round pick. I know, like, the nation was a little bit split on him, and because it caught us off guard, because we expected, corner, we expected potentially offensive tackle, that people weren't as excited, I think, as what they're going to be when they see how they use Bowers and how good of a player he is. And I don't want to make this comparison because some people are going to blow it out of water, but I can remember when Max Crosby was a rookie and reading like, dude, this Crosby guy is whooping Arden Key already. You saw it, you heard it, and then guess what? Max turned out to be a hell of a player. You're already seeing that, like, this Brock Bowers guy is difference maker. Remember the very first year where Waller kind of came out of nowhere back in 2019, and people were like, have you seen this Darren Waller guy? He is an athletic specimen, and he's just a different human being. I think Bowers is that type of guy where, yeah, he kind of looks like, he kind of has that Hunter Renfrow part of him where you look at him like, there's no way that that guy plays in the NFL, and then you go out there, you watch him, and you're like, this guy's the best player on the field, and Bowers was the best player at rookie minicamp, and I think those two guys, if they don't fire you up, then you got to check your pulse. All right, so let's get in now to the final three players here from the UDFA standpoint that just some notes that I heard, did a pretty good job. First guy is Carter Bradley, the quarterback, and again, this is the son of former Raiders defensive coordinator Gus Bradley, who was our DC back in 2021. From the notes that I have, Bradley spun the ball pretty well. Again, he's the only quarterback there, so he's getting a lot of this work, and he's showing off, the arm. He's showing off that he's got a pretty good football, and if he can figure out a way to compete with Anthony Brown, and if the Raiders are confident that he can be that practice squad quarterback, because I'll tell you this right now, when you look at Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, and if you're Luke Getsy, and if you're the silver and black, and you're trying to go, hey, which quarterback do we think replicates the two guys that are going to be starting or, battling for that starting gig? It's Carter Bradley. It's not Anthony Brown. So if Bradley goes out there and shows that he can absorb an NFL playbook, can go out there and just execute, that's all they're going to ask him to do. And from what I heard, he was able to execute, and you could tell that he comes from that tree of, my dad was a DC, he's been around it for a long time, and I was told very, very impressed by Carter Bradley. Next guy coming in here is a receiver, Tulu Griffin from the UDFA receivers, and this is one of the minicamp battles that I talked about that a lot of people, I think, should pay attention to because, yeah, the Raiders signed Jalen Guyton. Yes, you signed Michael Gallup, and you got Devontae, you got Jacoby Bowers in the mix there. But, like, for a guy like DJ Turner, Christian Wilkinson, I don't know if those two dudes are going to end up making this roster. Tulu Griffin, if a UDFA receiver makes it, he made a few nice catches, also showed that speed and some special teams drills from what I was told. Tulu was the UDFA receiver that stood out. And then the next guy, I feel like this is going to be my Adam Plant Jr. I just hope that he, makes it to the Raiders if he obviously earns the gig. Also, shout out to Adam Plant Jr. He just got a gig. He's going to be doing a CFL. He's playing in the Canadian Football League. I was just talking to his dad the other day. But Rone Stone Jr., edge out of Washington State, I was told out of the UDFA defenders, he was the one that stood out the most. And that was a player that they gave $170,000 to, guaranteed for UDFAs. It was the second most money behind only Jaquan Shepard. I'll be real, I didn't get any notes on any of the corners, which kind of broke my heart a little bit because that was the one position where I was like, these are the guys that I want to see. And I know a lot of y'all are probably going to watch this show, and you're like, well, what about the corners? I'll be honest, I don't got nothing on the corners. All the notes that I have that I received over the past 48 hours are the notes that you got here on today's show. I am going to get ready to wrap this one up. Looks like Alex is just finishing up breakfast, and that's a real dog mom there, making breakfast on Mother's Day. So I know, I love you. All right, y'all, I got to get on out of here again. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Those are my winners and losers from Raiders Rookie Minicamp. Next time that you guys will see me, I'll be back in the studio with Jeremy Chuggs. We're going to be going live at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, breaking down all the latest news and rumors and kind of, taking some of the notes that we got over the weekend. And we got some really fun segments because even though that certain guys did not practice or did not go out there and participate this weekend, there was even more, I think, winners and losers that I could have added, and I'll end up talking about some of those guys tomorrow because there's a lot of stuff to take a deep dive into. All right, y'all, enjoy the rest of your day. Much love to all y'all out there. And again, as always, go Raiders. If you want more videos around the silver and black, you can click this subscribe button right here. Personally, Alex's favorite videos, it is Mother's Day after all. You can click on these bad boys right here. If you're like, you know what, Mitch? Chuck's been on the show more. I trust him. Well, then, hey, these are Chuck's favorite videos over here. So if you want more content around the Raiders, click this. For even more, hit that subscribe button right here.